Hey there, welcome to the Kube-Cake Shop. We're the place that turns really complex tech stuff into simple, delicious concepts you can actually understand. You must be our new hire, right? It's awesome to have you here. We're gonna make you a master baker in no time. But first things first, let's get you familiar with how our special kitchen works.
So, let's just call this your official first day on the job. I'm going to be your guide, walking you through everything step by step, from how to get past the staff entrance all the way to your very first baking assignment. You ready to get that apron on? All right, let's do this.
Okay, so before you can even think about baking, you gotta get into the building. And our bakery is, well, it's pretty high tech. So the first thing we need is a foolproof way to make sure you are who you say you are. Your day-to-day routine is actually pretty simple when you break it down. You show up at the staff entrance, you show us your credentials, you get your assignment for the day, and then you head to your station. Now, let's talk a little more about that key ring. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with what we call your Master Franchise Keychain. The techie term for it is a kubeconfig file, but really, just think of it as your digital key to, well, everything. It knows where all of our bakeries are, it holds your personal ID, and it even tells you which job you're assigned to today. Now, if you look closer at your keychain, you'll see it has three main parts. First up, you've got clusters. These are basically just the addresses of all our different bakeries. Then you have users. That's your personal staff ID, unique to you. And finally, you have contexts. These are your daily work orders, and they're super important because they connect your ID to one specific bakery for your shift. Makes sense, right?
Okay, you're in the building. For your first assignment, we're going to start you off in the Cupcake Aisle. See, we assign every single baker to a specific area. It just helps keep things organized and running smoothly.
Before you get your hands doughy, you need to know exactly what you're allowed to do. To keep things from getting chaotic, everyone gets a super clear job description. For today, you've got a list of junior baker tasks. We're talking things like checking the oven temperatures and seeing how much flour we've got left in your aisle. Simple stuff. In our lingo, that job description is called a role. A role defines all the rules for one specific kitchen aisle, what we call a namespace. The key thing to remember is that it's all about the what. It's just a list of chores. It never, ever says who is supposed to do them.
So on one hand, we have this list of chores, the role. And on the other hand, we have you, our brand new baker. So how do we connect the two? Easy. We use a simple name tag. This tag basically says this person is a junior baker, and it links you directly to that list of tasks just for the cupcake aisle. And that name tag? Well, that's the final piece of the whole puzzle. We call it a role binding. It literally binds the role, which is the what, to a user like you, the who. As soon as that's in place, you officially have permission to get to work. Now, you should know it's not just people like you and me working in here. We've also got a whole fleet of automated smart appliances. And believe it or not, they need their own identities and their own permissions too. So human staff like you get authenticated with an external ID card, and you're managed by HR, right? But our smart appliances, like our automated mixers, they use something different called service accounts. You can think of these as internal digital badges. They're managed right here inside the bakery, and their identity is tied specifically to the aisle where they do their job. Let me put it this way. Imagine your smart mixer is about to run out of sugar. It can't exactly walk over and tap a manager on the shoulder, can it? So it needs its own identity, that digital badge, to automatically request more ingredients from our central supply. That special identity, that's its service account. All right, new baker, do me a favor and put that whisk down for just a second. I'm putting on my safety inspector hat now. See, so far, we've only been talking about rules for a single aisle, but some rules and some jobs apply to the entire franchise. A junior baker's permissions are pretty limited, right? You're stuck in the cupcake aisle. But a safety inspector? They need to be able to check the fire extinguishers in every single aisle. Their job isn't local. It's about the safety of the entire building. So they need a completely different rulebook. And this is what we call a cluster role. It's a franchise-wide policy for jobs that just can't be limited to a single aisle. Think about tasks like inspecting any kitchen station or being able to view all employee records. These permissions have to be global. And to do a job like that, the inspector can't be fumbling around with different keys for every single room. No way. They get a master key card. And that is the cluster role binding. It's what grants them access to do their duties anywhere in any aisle across the entire franchise. Okay, inspector hat is staying on. Because getting access is one thing, but how you work is just as important. We have mandatory safety protocols for every single person and every single machine in this kitchen. No exceptions. I mean, think about it for a second. What stops a new, maybe a little too enthusiastic baker from using an oven that's way too hot for what they're making, or from grabbing specialized knives they haven't been trained on yet? How do we prevent accidents before they happen? Well, we do it with what we call mandatory safety gear or a security context. These are the non-negotiable rules of the kitchen. For example, you have to operate under a very specific employee number. You are absolutely forbidden from using certain tools. We call that dropping capabilities. And, most importantly, you are never allowed to have the building's master keys, what the tech folks call root privileges. All right, we've covered a lot. Key cards, job descriptions, name tags, safety gear. So why? Why all this complexity? It actually all boils down to one single critical principle that keeps our entire bakery running smoothly and, more importantly, safely. This right here is the core philosophy of the Kube-Cake Shop. We give every person and every machine only the exact permissions they need to do their job, not a single key more. This is called the principle of least privilege. And here's why that is so important. Without these strict rules, our automated dough mixer might get confused and try to access the financial records in the cash register. Can you imagine the chaos? This principle isn't about being controlling. It's about preventing a small, simple mistake from turning into a bakery-wide disaster. So look at that! You've learned how to get in, you know what your job is, and you know how to work safely. Your whole station is secure. But now that you've baked all these amazing cupcakes, how do you let all our hungry customers know they're ready? How do we announce our daily specials to the world? Well, that's a great question for your next shift. You did great today. Welcome to the team.